Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. I wish you could hear it say, recording in progress.
I did.
You did? Okay. Okay, so it's been, again, already like 3 weeks or something, which is crazy because we really are trying to get this thing to happen a little more consistently, but it's very hard with life and ever-changing schedules, especially, well, I guess my schedule, as much as I want to believe it's not ever changing right now, I'm like, I work Wednesday through Friday here, Monday and Tuesday at home, but those Mondays and Tuesdays, like, there are also days that I just try to get a few things done before I start work at home. And then, it's just coordinating schedules is so hard and the weeks just go by. Then the holidays, it's been nuts. But it's been 3 weeks. I feel like not a whole lot has happened other than Tahoe has become buried in about 16 feet of snow.
Yeah. Same for lowland Western Washington, which is, it's not I don't know if we got a foot. I'd say like about a half a foot, but it's still here after like 4 days of snowing, and then it's supposed to snow again on Thursday. So
that's crazy. It doesn't normally like stick around very long there. In town, It'll be like a couple inches or something, and then you're lucky if it stays for a day.
Yeah, and like the roads are usually clear by like day 2, but there's still standing snow in places, and the roads are still wild. And
jeez, yeah, it's we have about 4 to 5 feet in our yard. So like the tops, the summits, like so we broke the December record for snowfall, which was set in like the 1970s at 193 inches. And so now I don't know exactly what it is, but it has to be over 200 inches, at least in a couple spots. And so that's like over 16 feet of snow, and that all happened like in a couple weeks, because I want to say for some reason I have like December 6th, that date like still stuck in my head. I don't know why, but I know that like first week of December, like the 1st at least through the 4th, it was like 60 degrees out. There was like not a lick of snow. It snowed in October, but then it like didn't really. And so I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? Which is also why I feel like the holidays kind of snuck up on me, because it was so sunny and warm that I was like, just not in the winter mode, certainly not in the Christmas mode. We got our Christmas tree anyways. But I was just like, it doesn't feel like winter. Then all of a sudden, like the next week, the second week of December or something, it started, second full week anyways. I keep looking at the calendar for reference. Started hammering. We got like a foot overnight and just storms after storms, and I fucking love it.
Snow day after snow day. Are you even able to have snow days, like for you personally?
No. Not me. So like the shop kinda had a half day Sunday, yes, because there's no power. So I don't know when for us, the power went out at like 8:30 or something. I was out shoveling the deck. Before I went out, the bathroom light started to flicker, but I wasn't sure if it was just like the bulb, because one was already out. So I didn't pay much mind to it. And we have a gas fireplace, so I turned the fireplace on because some gloves of ours were still wet from snowmobiling the day before, so I wanted to try and dry them out a little bit, because Andrew takes literally all the gloves with him when he goes out because they just get soaked, so he goes through a few pairs. So I turn it on, whatever, walk outside. I'm out there for a little bit shoveling the deck, come back in, and I'm like, why isn't the fan to the fireplace on? And I thought like it's just been a little finicky, so I flip it on and off, nothing happens. I'm like, well, fuck it, I gotta go to work. And Andrew's outside, so there's no point to have this gas on. And then I realized the power was out. And actually I was just going to CrossFit, and so Truckee is split into two counties. So we're actually in a different county than Andrew's parents, who live across the street, which is more like a driveway, not like a street. So it's even a little bit funnier that there's two houses or three houses right where back where we are that are Placer County, and then the rest are Nevada. So sometimes so we get our energy from a different place. So sometimes our power's out and theirs isn't. And that's what the case was. So whatever, I was just like, I'm going to CrossFit. Like, I don't know if the power's on or not, but it's the only class of the day. And if it's off, like, they're not canceling it now because it's too late to cancel. People are going to be on their way, and you don't need the power. Though it's all like windows in the front there. So we did it without power there. But then I realized I was supposed to work. I was like, oh shit. Like, I got a text from this app we use, or a reminder. And so it's 9:30. Like, I finished the first part of the workout and I just start putting my shit away and putting my boots on. I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta work. And like, I never work Sundays. I haven't worked a Sunday in forever. So I just didn't look at the schedule. I haven't been using my planner properly.
It's so hard.
Yeah. But as I left and started going down the road to go back home and change, and my boss texted me and said that they didn't have power, so just like to not worry about it until they get power. So I turned back around and went back to CrossFit to finish the workout. But their power never came back on, so they called it at like 2:30 in the afternoon. And since they open at 8 on Sunday, I figure like they started with power and it probably went off like right after they opened.
Yeah.
So other than that, like, he always tries to stay open. Like I said, most of the time, like, the power will go out like during the day. And like, we can still try and run transactions or whatever. But it was kind of the whole area with this storm the last week has been crazy. Like, trees are falling over power lines. So this one neighborhood has like 3 huge trees on power lines. This whole grid is just like out with no day of when it will return, because they have to fix all these power lines and the weather's been crazy, so they like don't know when they can. And Friday, Christmas Eve, we were open at the shop and we were supposed to be open till regular hours. I got off at 4:30 anyways because I opened, so I don't know if they closed early, but the internet went out around like 10 or 11, which for us in our point of sale system, we could not take any sales, or like, we couldn't use our POS, so we had to use the owner's like phone and PayPal and an Excel spreadsheet. And
old school.
Yeah, we thought we had the hang of it. Well, he did. And then we were closed Christmas. Then Sunday the power was out, and then Monday the people who were supposed to work could not get there because the roads were closed. So the owner, Dave, he was there till like 1:30 or 1 by himself. Then I came in, and we had to catch up on like enter each individual item sold on Friday into Monday. And so there was some discrepancies there for sure. It was like a little hard to do, but yeah, there's a lot of people playing catch up on things, whether they were like gone for the holidays and now they have like a ton of snow removal to do, or like the main interstate here, I-80, just opened yesterday westbound. So anyone who was like towards San Francisco was just able to come back last night, since like, I don't know, before Christmas. So
yeah, because you said that they were like regulating who passes through.
Yeah, and that was only on the other side. So we had to go to Reno to drop off a truck to the we had to take it to the dealership because the check engine light's on and no one around here could like read the code, and we had to get it smogged, so we had to take it. Yeah, so we had to take it down there.
Fucking
and we've
computers
been
and
right, but we've been waiting for this appointment for like over a month, just because that's how far appointments are out. So we got down there. I mean, the roads were a little sketchy up top, but you know, we've gone through worse. But yeah, they have like normally they will, like during chain control, there's a check, like you cannot pass go without having chains or 4-wheel drive, whatever they're requiring. But this time you had to show your ID that you lived in Truckee, otherwise you could not get past. Yeah, so it's been kind of nice the last few days actually, because the resorts have been closed. Well, they opened yesterday, but there's a couple days throughout the last week that they were closed because of high winds and just avalanche danger. But with
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, with all the snow that you guys have been getting over there, like, is it even safe to?
yeah, I mean, it depends where you go. It was high, very high for a few
Avalanche.
days, and now the avalanche danger, and now it I know yesterday it went down from high to considerable, so there's 4 levels, or there's 5 technically. 5 is extreme, which means like don't leave your house, you might die.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what they say when it comes to extreme. Like
God.
that's the day we made that like funny like video out the door, if you've seen that on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
They're literally saying like blizzard conditions, you might die if you go outside. And then 4 is high, 3 considerable, 2 goes down. Da, da, da. So yesterday the whole pyramid was considerable. And now I just looked this morning and it's a mix, like considerable, moderate, and low. So like at the tree below tree line is low, so it's settled there. And the snowpack is settling a little bit more, but there's still always the chance, no matter what it says. But yeah, so you just have to actually read the report and the aspects and see where it is the safest to travel. But yeah, in the middle of the week that it was just hammering so much that like anywhere was dangerous, even in the resorts, because they couldn't keep up on mitigation of the avalanche, like bombing and whatnot. So with the like literally all highways into Tahoe were closed. Like you couldn't get here. And it's really nice because
I was gonna say
because you can go anywhere. So even though we do not have passes anywhere this year, which is like a big surprise for us.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to go to the resorts, but literally trying to go anywhere. You have to sit in traffic because the highways are just 2-lane highways here, and there's resorts everywhere. So I could be trying to get to work or the grocery store, and it's just backed up from resort traffic in either direction. So you're like, okay, it takes me 10 minutes to get to work, but now I'm stuck in this like traffic. And you can't get around anything. You can't hop on the highway and like just skip town and get on an exit, because literally every road is like backed up. So it's like, yes, yeah, go ahead, close the highways, because I can actually like get to work and get to my daily life without.
What a trip.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned to me before when I came to visit Tahoe for the first time, where you were like, hey, the resort's right there, we could see it in my backyard, but sometimes it takes us like 2 hours to get to the resort to ride. Like, have you or other locals thought of like alternative methods to getting there?
Oh yeah, well, so
for example, I gotta tell you this quick little story.
Oh yeah, please do.
Murray has gotten into putting motors on bicycles. And so he's got 2 now, and they're just like shit ass frames that you could pick up from Kmart for like $50, and then he throws like $100 engine kit that you can order from China on it. And he took it out in the snow, and he was just like, this thing fucking rips and it is so awesome. And like, we went out to breakfast one day and he rode it to where we went out to breakfast, and we followed him. And it was just hysterical to like watch him slip and slide. But like, he got to our destination before us both times, there and back. But it was just like, I mean, with everything, all these like changing things with like COVID and like all these, like we really like, I mean, I know scientists have been warning us this for years and years and years, but we really need to start thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, there's like e-bikes around here are very prevalent, like in the summer and whatnot. Like we have a couple. So people are out like riding their bikes all the time, because summer traffic also gets bad, but not as bad as the winter, because that's what we are, is like a snow destination. And I mean, yeah, people love Lake Tahoe and they go there in the summer and whatnot, but the snow is just worse. And But the thing is with biking in the winter, like there's nowhere to really bike because the roads, there's so much snow that there's no shoulder.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's
Okay.
definitely no bike lane. There's like one of the popular paths does get, like walking and bike paths does get plowed, but it's just like a kind of commute, or not a commuter. It's just like a leisure trail.
Yeah,
So biking, it would just be hard unless they had the manpower and the place to move the snow. That's the thing, like we get so much snow that there becomes times that there's just nowhere else to put the snow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um so yeah, like people you will see people biking around with their skis to their bike when it's
Yeah,
like spring or early, or just like a low snow year when there's enough room for them to like bike and get through the cars. And there's a lot of talk around like what we can do to help the traffic. I don't know like what the town really has in play, but
yeah.
as far as like what do you call it, like
Shuttles.
parking goes and stuff like that,
Yeah,
where yeah, like big parking lots where you can get on the shuttle. But well, I just don't know if that would work because so many people around, well, first of all, still COVID.
yeah,
So there's that. And also there's just a certain group of folks, and I think that there's a lot of them here who don't like, they want to have their own space and have their
totally.
car and not have to rely on a shuttle to go here or there. It's going to take some time to get the like mass transportation to be a little bit better here, and for people to be on board with it,
Yeah,
especially in the winter.
yeah.
um
Even
but
here.
yeah, but so there's, they're trying to figure it out, but that's the big thing too, as far as the growth of this area in general, and the constant like talk about building more, or more people coming here and whatnot, is that like we don't have the infrastructure to handle more people, because there's only a couple ways out, and that is even more so talked about now in the summers because of the fires. So when
Yeah.
all the people who are here come here,
Damn.
like you can't get out if a bad fire happens and happens fast. So last year, like I said, there was some evacuations in South Lake Tahoe and the West Shore of Tahoe. Uh, and I think that, they started them early, not like too early by any means. I mean, I think it was a great way that they did it, because it got at least most people out, and it's the stubborn people who are going to be like, no, I'm
Yeah.
staying. But
Especially the people who like that's where their roots are. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
generational and
Yeah, I got one downstairs.
yeah. and
But
and another one upstairs.
yeah, and so my dad in the summer is like, was just kept saying that to me. He's like, I don't care about anything. As soon as you like feel like you need to, you just throw your shit in the truck and get the fuck out of there. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not worried about like anything that I have. It's, you know, all replaceable. Obviously there's a few things that aren't, but like, pictures and things like that. But still, when it comes to your life, like what's worth it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think we talked about in the first one, I had like a little bag kind of packed when we were in Michigan for our buddy to grab, of like, okay, take this and like go. But yeah, so I don't know what they would do about structure. So it was on one hand kind of annoying that they closed the highway so easily. That seems like much easier than they used to, even in just my relatively short time here. But uh just yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, oh sorry, I totally had a brain fart. So it was annoying that they'd close it, but now I'm kind of like, oh, actually I see a lot more pluses to this than not. So yeah, anyway, we're buried in snow, and everyone around here like knows and sees that, and I'm glad you guys are getting some snow. But
Yeah.
I and just real quick, and then we'll like go through your updates. I went to, so that day, the last day we went is when I had that first naturopath appointment.
Yes.
And so I haven't had my follow-up. It's not till the end of January, but I just went in yesterday and did like a blood draw for a food sensitivity test and a couple other things, just like random that she just wanted to check levels of. And then an adrenal test is also what she gave me, which I did the other day, but I fucked it up. So I have to do it again, which is just like 5 times throughout the day in certain time periods. I have to do this, like put a cotton ball under my tongue and like soak it with my spit. And this other one I'm gonna have to like actually spit in. But so I'm excited that I'm gonna have those. I was telling my mom yesterday, I'm like, even if like and I actually had a dream, I just remembered this, that like everything came back like normal. Like some of my blood tests were in like either like the low end or high end of the range, but still in the normal range. And so I obviously haven't talked to my doctor about this. She hasn't broken some of these things down, so I don't know, because with her in the first set she was like, so this is like what they say the standard range is, but like I go by like a healthy range and this is not like in it. So I think on some of these ones we just did, I may be on I'm interested to see what she says. For example, just this one HA1C. I always see a commercial about this, but so that's for like diabetes, and that's something I've been tested for a couple times and been concerned that I have. But I am like right on the edge, like literally like the number 5.7 and above is pre-diabetes, and I'm a 5.6. So by all like Western doctor standards, like my doctor would be like, oh, you're fine. I just have a feeling like that's what she would say. And so I can't wait to hear what like the naturopath has to say, like break that number down a little bit more for me, and tell me like really what does that mean, and am being at that level, like does that mean like I am at a risk of going higher, or is it like totally fine and normal, but
or like would you have to stop eating sugar,
or like or other things of like, is it an insulin like resistant thing? Like I don't really know the differences, but that was the highest one of marker that I could like decipher like myself, and try to understand a little. So I won't be able to break those down or get the adrenal test results and the food test until the end of January. But it's just like whatever, if like everything comes back normal, I at least feel good that I went through the process of trying it. So
how did you find your naturopath?
Well, she's the only one in town. I mean, I think I could be wrong. There could be somebody, there definitely could be someone else, but I found her just by searching it and she came up, and then I happened to know who she was because she used to go to the gym that I worked at. So I never looked again because I was like, I know Stephanie, like I know I can trust her. Like I don't want to go to anybody else because like I have she knows me. She knows what I do. She like, she doesn't know me like well or anything, but still she for years has known me and what I do. So especially as like the main concern has been like this weight gain, that like, she knows I'm a personal trainer, but that doesn't mean that, I eat well or have a good lifestyle myself or anything, but she at least has a little background on me. But yeah, so also like I sold my truck. So and I got a much better chunk of change out of it than I ever thought that I would. I think I got a little more than what it's like worth, at least a little bit more than what like the high end of the blue book was. But it was super helpful because I was able to pay it off, and then like pay it off 2 credit cards, and I still have some in the bank, and got a nice Christmas and got a nice Christmas bonus. So this money could be gone like literally in a second if I wanted to try and pay anything else off. I'm still definitely in debt, but it just felt good to finally be like, oh look, I have like a chunk of change like in the bank, and like paychecks coming up that like are still a little just a little bit more than like what my rent is, but having at least it's not like going from paycheck to bill to zero. So hopefully having a little bit of that financial stress like lifted will kind of help some other stresses, cortisol levels, if you will. And we'll see. I don't know. I feel like things are onto a all right direction as long as I can keep it together and I don't get all like, oh, let me go spend $500 on this.
Yeah.
Even though we were at Best Buy last night and Andrew wants a GoPro, so he bought a GoPro.
Oh yeah. Wait, which one did he get?
Well, so the 10 is what he was after. So we bought some accessories as well, because when I got the GoPro 8, they came out with media mods. So you can hook this whole little thing up around the camera, and it has a mic on it and attachments where you can put a light. And so this was all like right at COVID. So it was all about everyone's doing everything from home. So you have this, like with your GoPro now, you can have a external microphone so you pick up the sound very well. You can add lenses and you can have the light so you can film in any lighting. And but the media mod wasn't, this is when I was doing all my Zoom classes and I was using the GoPro as my webcam because the wide field of vision, I didn't have to like constantly move my laptop around to like show like a move. I'd be in a plank and like, oh crap, you can't see what I'm doing, you just see my butt. So with the GoPro I didn't have to move anything, but the media mod wasn't out. And then it finally came out and I wasn't doing Zoom anymore, but I saw it last night and I got super inspired again. And I was like, oh, I fucking want the media mod. I have the light. I was like, because a lot of people do film their podcasts. And even though it's like just on Zoom, so it would be like for us doing it over Zoom, it would be like literally just sharing this recording to like YouTube or something. But when we're together or with like anybody else, like I could use the GoPro to film and pretty much, you know, maybe not have to have a mic, or headphones are nice. But anyways, then as we were checking out, I was like, oh shit, I'm like a GoPro like member, and you get like 30% off of accessories and deals. So we leave Best Buy, we went to this brewery right next door in Reno and had some dinner, and I'm on the website, and the GoPro 10 bundle was like $200 or $100 cheaper too. So I put everything that we bought in a cart on the GoPro website, and it was $225 less than what we just spent at Best Buy. So we went right back to Best Buy and returned it all.
Good.
And I was like, we're ordering it instead. And Andrew was okay with it. Usually he's just like, no, I don't want to deal with it. Like, we have it. I bought the warranty, this, that. But I think it was enough of a difference that he was like, yeah, okay, like let's and we got an extra battery that's supposed to work better in the cold because he wants to use it for snowmobiling. So yeah, like you've mentioned wanting to get a little better at video editing and stuff, so it reminded me of that. But
or just start in general.
Yeah, but before we go to like, I think we'll end with talking about like any 2022 goals, but I'm gonna stop jabbering now and let you give your little update on life and
it's a heavy one.
I know, even though you might not want to. So I feel like I was keeping it pretty light because nothing's really been going on with me. But I know you've right before Christmas, you know, had some family stuff, and so you guys have been struggling a bit.
Yes. Yeah. I'll start the updates light. I started going to therapy last week. I had my first session.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm
like
really,
talk
really
therapy.
Talk therapy. Yeah. And it's just via Zoom. I found her because I was looking for a therapist for Jordan, my nephew who I adopted, which his therapist, the person that I reached out to be his therapist, never got back to me, which I need to call that person today. But yeah, she called me right away and was like, all right, let's get this going. And I was like, oh my God, I have a therapist. This is crazy. And she's really she's done a lot in her life. She was in the military, and then she went to go be a nurse for like 15 years. And then she got really interested in working with veterans who have PTSD. So then she went back to school to become a therapist. And now she's a therapist. It's just, I just love hearing stories like that, because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, girl, you like did this thing, then that, and you were, it's just nice to hear people's life stories, because I mean, we're in the thick of it in our 30s, still trying to be like, how do we keep up with a daily planner?
Yeah, totally.
How do I stick to a schedule and a regimen? But it was just like the first session, so it was just like went through everything, and I'm gonna get a diagnosis through that, like N4, N1, whatever the number thing is. There's like a book. Any psychologists, let us know. But anyways, I'll get a diagnosis. And she when I told her, she asked about drinking, which I told her that I smoked pot too. She didn't say anything about that, but she was really concerned about my drinking, which I don't like. We never drink at home. Murray and I don't drink. We're more potheads than we are alcohol drinkers. But like, if I do go out, I'm like, oh, I never do this, so I'm gonna like go hard, and then I'm hungover the next day and I hate my fucking life. So I told her, I was just like, yeah, I just hate being hungover, which everyone hates that. She just like really honed in on that. And I told one of my friends who's sober and has been sober, gosh, I want to say she's been sober for like 5 years now, and she was like, yeah, and so it was just interesting to hear my friend who's sober's perspective on how much of a mental shift that is when you stop drinking, or when you start looking at your relationship with it, because it's so normalized, because it is legal and has been for forever. And so I'm curious and interested to see how and where all of that will go. Yeah, just like taking a deeper look at my relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that is one thing, honestly, that kind of bothers me, is that like everything's always turned to alcohol. But in the good ways and in the bad ways. Like I get frustrated that when there's nothing to do, it's like, let's go get a drink. And I'm like, I wish that wasn't like the societal normal, but I also do enjoy it. I have fun. Like I want to go do that. But yeah, I do like I don't handle hangovers as well. And it doesn't have to be like as many drinks before I feel something, or that I feel more of a shift in the mind of like, instead of it always being fun, like there's more often times of like, it can put me in a bad headspace, and I can notice it after just like 1 or 2 drinks, whether it's like getting like frustrated, angry, or sad or whatever. But then there's still the times where it's like all just fun and happiness. But then too, I don't know why, maybe it's just because it's something I don't want to hear. That it's
it is, because it is like, when she was like honing in on like talking about my drinking, I was like, please, I do this like once, maybe twice a week. It's not that big a deal. But like, if you like take a step back and are like, no, let's really look at this, and like look at it from like a societal standpoint, and like how and why we resort to these things and why it's so normal.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen, there's a lot of drinks coming out that are because there was like all the seltzer waters of like, don't gain weight or drink the carbs or whatever. And now there's a bunch of like mocktail kind of drinks coming out. Oh, cool. And I don't know, I haven't looked into them, but I keep seeing different ads. I'm not sure if they're just like flavored waters that are more, not just like a flavored sparkling water, but there's more to it, that it tastes like a cocktail without the alcohol, or if there is some of them that have like relaxing ingredients in them, like not even like
tonics, like herbal tonics or something.
Exactly, because like obviously there's CBD and those kinds of waters, but I know I haven't found one since like the one I had there, but yeah, so I'm interested, because I was like, actually, I kind of scoffed at it at first, and like, I might be interested into that, because there are the times that you just want to drink to like chill out and
Yeah.
unwind.
Or like
And
socialize. I told her
Mhm.
that my biggest thing is like I just do it to socialize. Like I don't drink at home. I only do it when I'm like out.
Yeah. And so those drinks are cool, but like, and so I'd be more likely of like, yeah, maybe I'll try one and have it at home for the times I come home and want to have one. But still, unless they're like more normalized, like out at a bar, in which I think some bars do have mocktails, but then that's kind of annoying because it's the same fucking price. It's still
Yeah.
$12 for some like grenadine and soda water. You're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
and you don't even get buzzed.
Yeah, like the alcohol is the most expensive part. We all know this. So
Yes.
like make a mocktail that's not going to be the same price as a cocktail, and I'd buy it. And
Yeah.
otherwise I'm just like, well, I might as well feel all the shit. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just the
Has
way my mind works
has
out.
your naturopath talked to you about alcohol?
Not yet. I mean, we talked, like she did the general rundown of like how much and often do you drink or whatever, and recommendation, I guess, probably of like not drinking excess amounts or whatever. But she hasn't dived deep into it being like a main cause of anything.
Good,
uh
which good, because I mean, like when people do that, like you're like, oh shit, you're like, I'm doing something bad. Like you feel like shit,
yeah,
bad about yourself for being like, oh, I'm doing this thing that's not so great, which we all know alcohol is not good for the body, but
exactly.
it's
I
just so
think
enjoyable and
I
normalized.
know. And that's the thing. It's like over the last year, I think I've realized a little bit more just with my mental state going like very low to regular. Like I notice when like I shouldn't drink and I'm not in a good mindset to do it. But like you said, just with the like wanting to, like I want to have fun, and like
Yeah.
that's it. That was always the thing of like, oh, let's have a good time. But then
And like
you
this is
start
how
doing
we
it, you're like, oh,
socialize. You
yeah,
know, like breweries or like going to
yeah.
that bar, that one bar that we go, like
I like beer too, so it's
yes, I
like
love it.
that's
I
the thing
love
with the food test. I can at least finally know. I'm like, okay, I sure hope gluten really isn't like a high marker, because I don't know like what I'll do
Yeah.
for
Do you
beer.
like wine? Do you drink wine ever?
Not really. I prefer if I do white wine or sparkling,
Yeah.
or like rosé, but I don't it gives me a bad headache, and I can't drink much because it's just more sugary, that as much as I can eat like a whole bag of like Halloween candy in a sitting or something, like 2 glasses of like a sweet drink, and I'm like, ooh, my tummy, like, no, where's
Yeah.
the beer?
Yeah.
Even like a White Claw or something that doesn't actually have a lot of sugar, but it has that sweetness taste, I'm like, yeah, no, I can have a
Yeah.
couple, and then I'm like ready to go back to beer.
And
But
it's so wild how like our mind, like tummy connection does those things. I feel like it totally contributes. You know what I mean? When you're like
mhm,
being conscientious, like thinking about what you're putting in your body. I don't
totally. Well, that's super exciting that you
know.
went to a therapist. That's on the list for me as well.
Yeah. And I did this, I just went to psychologytoday.com and then you put in whatever insurance you have, and then it shows up, you also put in your area code, and then it shows a list of all the therapists that accept your insurance. And it was just so
Oh
simple.
wow, that's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
so easy. And I was like, okay, cool. I have a therapist now. And she
That's
called me
so
right
cool.
back.
Because I kind of dabbled in looking at Better Health, but never too far. So I
And
don't
then
know
they're
if they
like,
had
give
an
me a
insurance.
credit card
Yeah.
information. And you're like, fucking die.
Yeah. So I don't know if they do have like an option, like maybe you get past that and then they do have insurance options. But that's been the thing. It's just like the naturopath that's turned me away for years is like out of pocket. But
Yeah.
I know there's options on both ends of those that you can find. You just have to dig a little more, and I'm kind of lazy. So
Yeah. And like life is distracting, dude.
yeah. So how often do you have like a
Once a
set
week.
routine for her right now,
Yeah,
or
once a week. So I have another session today. I've just been sticking to Wednesdays because that's when we started. And she
oh,
only works
perfect.
part-time, so it's in the latter part of the week. So yeah, I started going to a therapist. I'm really excited, nervous, scared about that, but I'm like taking charge. And one of the things that she told me to do, but I didn't do, was to find a primary care doctor.
Oh,
Like, when was the last time you had a physical? And I was like, oh shit, like I was like, from an OBGYN, like from a And she's like, no, like an actual. And so I'm supposed to find a primary care doctor. So I'm also going to look into naturopath. But yeah, that's one of the things that I need to do. What else? I hate Christmas, Taryn. I hated it this year. I hated it so much. And like before any of that shit happened, which I will talk about.
Yeah.
I just like was not feeling the Christmas spirit this year, and I like really need to figure it out, because the thing that gets me the most upset about Christmas is the consumerism of it all.
Right.
And it's like we're just buying all this shit, garbage shit from China that we're like, have to get this person that we don't really know, and like they don't even want the fucking thing that you give them, and then it goes in the landfill. And it's just like we're feeding this disgusting cycle, and we're just like stuck in the belly of this beast, and it needs to stop.
Totally.
God, it needs to stop. I'm like really trying hard. And I did buy gifts, and I did go to Target and get Quincy all the Minecraft shit, but like I'm trying so hard. I tried really hard to buy local and like all this good stuff. And I think the best way to do it is to just find things throughout the year. Like it sucks to like put that much thought forward. But like one of the gifts that I gave my good friend Sally, I bought when I went to go visit her in Hawaii back in March, and I gave it to her for Christmas. So, and she was with me when I bought it. So
that's awesome.
And it's just like so it's just, I need to like figure out my relationship with Christmas so I'm not such a Grinch.
Yeah.
Because I fucking hate it. Like I can't stress it enough. And like we do the Santa Claus thing with Quincy. And so just like he knows that Santa Claus is a thing and was a man 1600 years ago. And he knows that we get to give him the gifts.
Right.
But like we still go and see Santa. I don't know. I just need to figure out my fucking relationship with Christmas.
It's got to be tough with a kid and everything. And we had a really, really small one this year too, just because we're like the time and money anyways is like, we're not shopping around, couldn't really get anywhere by the time because we procrastinated so much. So it was nice. Andrew's mom got us all like a bunch of like little gift cards and like some like just fun little ones, like a $15 one at Dairy Queen. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not above a blizzard by any means, but it's gonna sit around for a while. But like a $50 Target one in Macy's and a $25 Starbucks one, and like you can do those locally as well. But she went to Safeway, I'm sure, and just picked off the big wall, and it was fine and great. And I got Andrew just a couple things, like for the snowmobile, a Garmin InReach. So I was like, well, this is selfish. I don't know if you really want this, but I want you to have it. Like a satellite communication device. Like, I know I can find you or get a hold of you, and like ultimately, like, with what you're doing, like, you should have one. I mean, anyone should have one these days. But so it felt good that it wasn't like a bunch of stuff. It was kind of like, oh man, there's no presents under the tree. They were all for Piglet. And my mom sent me a couple of things, but like useful things. I got this cool new Bluetooth mouse.
Whoop whoop.
So it was nice to have like a smaller one, but just like with the drinking, it's become normal to have like this giant cluster of presents and have this whole big unwrap this, but really like half of it's junk that you don't really want, you're not going to use. And so Andrew and I like got more of like big ticket items for each other, and it was just a couple things, and still it's like, even so, we would have probably gotten these things without it being Christmas, because it's just like, if I want to buy something like for somebody, I just want to buy it and have it be a gift, instead of like we have to wait for this certain date or time. I want it to be like, I saw this and I thought of you, and like I want to get it for you. But usually it's like I talk myself out of it, because I'm like, well, I don't really want to spend that money right now. And I just don't want to be in that. Since I want to be able to walk into a store and see something that's like, that reminds me of Amber. Like I want to get it to her and send it to her, whatever it is. And but you know, it's something like that I know you'll love and use and enjoy, and it won't matter if it's like your birthday, Christmas, or fucking whatever. Like,
yeah. So again, with the like changing your mindset with alcohol, changing your mindset with Christmas,
yeah,
what I want to do.
totally.
And just like, I mean, like everything is fucking changing, and we need to like get on it. Oh, speaking of which, have you watched that movie on Netflix called Don't Look Up?
So I started it the other night. I got pretty far and then it passed out. So
Yeah.
I want to go back and finish it.
It is so good.
Yeah, because then I kept seeing things posted about it. So I was like, oh man, I gotta finish it. I can't remember where I really ended it off, but it was I liked the way it was going. So I definitely want to finish it.
There's this woman who is an environmental scientist that I follow on Instagram, and she was like, that movie was too real for me.
Wow.
Very triggering, because she deals with situations like that all the time, where she goes to like the White House or whatever, or like to warn the people of like this environmental scientific discovery that she came across, and they're just like, oh, what about Christmas? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, totally.
Just laugh it off, and it's just like, this is the world
we are. Yeah, it's like, oh, can you just hold that thought until after the election? Like, yeah, it's fucked up.
We need to like truly redirect our priorities.
Oh, 100%.
Major way.
Yeah, definitely.
What else? Okay, yeah, so I hate Christmas.
Good thing it's over. Yeah, sorry, we never got to that gift guide we talked about, but whatever.
Well, here's our gift guide. If you see things throughout the year that remind you of someone, fucking buy it and hold on to it until Christmas if you can.
Exactly. You either like gift it as a like just being a nice friendly thing, or hold on to it. So personally, I would love, like, I don't care. I've never been like expected my friends to like get me anything for Christmas, and I'd much rather them like get me something and just send it, and I get a little surprise in the mail. I'm like, oh my god, like it just warms your heart to know that people are thinking about you at other times of the year than the 2 times that like they're supposed to. So I would, but yeah, if their birthday or Christmas or something is close by, or like you just want to because you have that tradition with somebody or whatever, you want to give it as a gift and wait, then great. But you know, there's, with this last year or 2, I guess, of like being in weird spots mentally and stuff, and going into dark places, like then it's, I'm like, I would love even just texts or calls of people. Not like, I don't need a lot, but it's like, that would be so, that's, you just never know where people's heads are. So just to give them the reminder, like you always see these memes of like, check on your friends, even the ones you think are okay and that and whatnot. So I'm like, those things, like when you're thinking about somebody, like you gotta tell them. And I feel like I've been trying to make an effort to do that as well, just judging by the way that I have felt the last couple of years, that I'm like, I want to do this. And especially with like what Hillary and I went through as a friendship, and like not talking, I don't look at it as a bad thing of like the time lost, but it was definitely a learning experience where it's like, we figured it out and like lost some time, and I don't want to like lose any more with people. Obviously that was like for reasons, but when you're not in that place with somebody and you don't need that space, then it's like, hey, remind your friends that you like fucking love them.
And when you go through trials with friendships in particular, because I feel like with your partner it's 1000% different, because you can call them an asshole and then they'll give you a hug and a kiss that same day, you know what I mean? But with friendships it's entirely different. And so like when you do have conflict in friendships, it just helps reassess like boundaries, or and it makes your friendship stronger. Like there's just, and like with what I've gone through recently, I've realized with Murray and I, like we just need to be better with like communicating what's going on in our heads, because we just can't, we just don't know. And sometimes I don't know what's going on in my own head. So just to like take the time each day to be like, genuinely, how was your day? What thoughts went through your head? Like, and to try to get better at asking questions that provoke those thoughts of like, what did I think of today? What was something that like struck a chord in my brain that I was like, whoa, that's fucked up, or that was great, or yeah, it's just good. And like the reaching out to people, especially when, and it's hard because like I usually am like, oh man, I should hit up so-and-so when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I should not text and drive.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
So now more so than ever, I think that we should like make it a challenge to like, whenever someone pops in your head, call them, just fucking call them. We have motherfucking phones technology that is like so advanced and like so like technologically advanced with our fucking phones, and all we do is like stare at videos of other people's pets.
Totally.
Or, you know what I mean? Like we just need to like utilize the things that we have. Man, am I on a soapbox or what?
No, it's awesome.
Shit, we should do more morning Zoom.
Totally. So I totally do that all the time. I think of it pops in my head of the terrible time, like driving or as I go into work, and I do this all the time with my mom. And so I like quit doing it, because once I open that can of worms with her particularly, she'll just like go off and like just text me nonstop. And I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I'm so like, I'll preface it. I'm like, I'm so sorry I texted you at a really bad time. I'm going into work, but I just have to say this. So she like knows like she can't go on or like continue her call. But it is sometimes easier to like shoot that text than to like pick up the phone and call and say, hi, I really just want to say hi, but I have to go now. Bye. Because if you do maybe have some time to talk, then you're like, but then I don't want to get stuck on the phone for an hour or half hour or whatever. I really just want to send this text. But there's times too, like what you just said, that I'm like, yeah, I should actually maybe just do that once in a while. But I know that like a lot of people these days just don't even answer their phone if someone calls and they're like, just text me.
And then you have the voicemail and you're talking to it and you're like, okay, cool. I'm like leaving this voicemail because I thought of you and I was really stoked at the moment, but now I'm like,
now you've disappointed me. Hard. Well, and people, so I am one of those people, I do not leave any message unread or unchecked. So I will check that voicemail immediately. And decide whether it's something I need to call back, even if they do text or whatever. But so many people don't check their voicemails, but I will leave a message and check a message. So I'm 100%.
And forget to respond.
Yeah. And then my mom, like, she'll call back or something. I'm like, I left you a message. I said, do not call. I just had to tell you this. She's just like, oh, I didn't see it. I just saw that you called. I'm like, yeah, that was 2 days ago though. So like she doesn't check the timestamp or anything. But yeah, with like with partners and friends, it definitely differ. I think you can have friends or friendships that you do have good boundaries with, and it is similar to, you know each other so well that it is that kind of relationship, you know each other's boundaries or whatnot. But for a lot of friends, I think it's harder to know what the boundaries are, and
or to like piss them off, or like want to have the hard conversations, because with friendships it's usually like light and light and good, but
you're
like,
supposed to just be there for me.
And like when you just have these expectations in your head without saying them to your friend, then it's just it doesn't go anywhere. That's why you gotta like get the things out of your mouth.
And then even with your partner or whatever, it takes a lot of digging and a lot of work to get to the point where you are having that open communication, especially if it's with somebody who isn't really at, like, it takes a lot more digging at them to open them up. And I feel like I was that person for a long time, and I'm getting a little bit better about it myself. And I think that helps open the other person up too, when you're just like, hey, like, and letting them know, like, this is how I was feeling, like, this really made me feel that way. It makes them hopefully feel a little bit better about being comfortable to say that, like, back to you. That's something Andrew and I have definitely been kind of like working on, I feel like, and opening those doors so it's not stuff just festering. But I think like Murray's a kind of a busybody type guy that he'll put those feelings into like projects and things, and
1,000,000%.
either let it
And a
go
lot of
out that way or let it's still sitting in there somewhere.
Yeah. And then like with long-term relationships, family relationships, there's like such a long history and like all these memories of like good and or bad, but with like the negative things, there's just like these little triggers where you can just like say something a certain way, and then it just pisses the person off, and you're just like, oh fuck, and then you get into the cycles of being in the places, and
yeah.
So I'm glad we're talking about this. I think that people need to hear this, and I'm sure that there's like more. There's probably like a technical term for like what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, and that's the whole thing about this podcast. I actually talked to the girl who did marketing for me for my business about doing some artwork for this podcast. Ooh. So we can get it on Apple and stuff. Nice. And so as I was like, trying to explain to her what the goals, I guess, are of the podcast, or like describe it and whatnot, like I had a vision, and then I'm like, but maybe it's different now, like I don't know, but all in all I'm like, no, it's not. Like the main point of it was to have real conversations, and whether that's with like just you and I talking about what our real regular life is like, or if it is, when I if there's someone we want to talk to, a professional athlete or something like that, it's still going to be about like, how that person is a real person. And it's not just like all highlights on social media, and like they poop too, that kind of thing. So it's I wanted it to be something that the majority of people can relate to, and with all things that you either follow on Instagram or whatever social media podcast, you listen to it for a reason, and it's most likely because you relate to it in some way or another. So people who don't relate to this like aren't going to listen, and I don't care. Just like they're not going to follow me or my business or whatever. Like if it doesn't, if the content doesn't do anything for you, then don't follow it or listen to it, because like whether it's a small amount of people or big amount of people, as long as it relates to somebody, and whether it's just for comedy or they realize some things of like makes them feel like, oh yeah, you know what, like I can go talk to somebody, or like I can set these boundaries or whatever.
I think that this podcast is just good for you and I to keep up on our friendship, because I just gel with you so forking well, and you just find that with everybody,
Exactly.
And like for us, I'm glad we're doing this.
Me too.
And it's only our third one, and who knows what will come of this? You know what I mean? Like a year from now, we could look back at this and be like, hey, remember that one time we tried a podcast?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe we could look back and be like, hey, remember our first podcast? And like, look at where we're at now. Like, because we are doing this now, it'll naturally unfold, and it's good to like set goals and everything, but like you don't necessarily have to have like a business plan for one. Just fucking do it and see what happens. Like this is how things happen, by trial and error and making mistakes. And
exactly. It's like I've put this off for years and years and years, because I was like, I don't know what I want to talk about. All these podcasts were like, hey, I'm a health and wellness podcast, or I'm a this or that, and I'm like, I just want to talk. And I didn't think that there was a place for that, for a regular person talk about regular things. And then I did start finding some where I'm like, yeah, these two are just like chatting away. However, like again, like the people that I even listen to, where it's just two friends shooting the shit. One of them is also like a professional athlete still, and has tens of thousands of followers and has businesses and programs and stuff. So it's like always still like more intimidating of, well, there's still somebody, they had a following, they had something, and now they're just talking to their friend about like the daily grind or whatever. And I'm like, I don't have a successful like huge business, I'm not any kind of person or icon or anything like that. Like, our friends, if that, listen to this right now, and maybe it will grow. And I do want it to grow. I want it for a reason, but and to be able to monetize it would be awesome. But I wasn't gonna like wait for a way where I knew like I'm gonna make a buck off it. I'm like,
Mhm.
just gotta start it, and hopefully it can get
Yep.
to that point where, and not even like making money off of it, but like just supporting it, like to have
Yeah.
the like equipment, or to like basically it's like, not lose an hour of work or life or something else you could have been doing. You're like, oh no, we actually like kind of made money sitting here chatting, like, or
Yeah.
didn't lose any,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I could be working right now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but all in all, it's like just because I want to freaking do it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And we're doing it. So
Yes,
cheers.
we are. Yay. Oh yeah, I was hoping to have coffee with you this morning, but I'm doing this. I can't drink or eat anything besides water for like an hour before I do these adrenal
Oh
like saliva things. So
no.
I've been waiting to do this like second one before I have coffee, but it'll be just in time for like work, so it'll be perfect. So I won't be overloaded with coffee by the time I get to work. But yeah, sorry, another tangent.
No, you're good. It's a-okay. No need to apologize, but I'll get to like the heavy shit. So a week before Christmas, Murray's dad passed away unexpectedly. He and his son and best friend and his best friend's son, they all went out to their family friend's cabin that they've been going out to for years and have like so many memories. It's in the Teanaway Valley over by Leavenworth. So it's like they would go there in the summer, they would go there in the winter. And so they went the weekend before Christmas to go on a snowmobiling trip. And this 67-year-old and his friend and their kids, they went snowmobiling on Friday and again on Saturday, and they were like cutting down trees and like doing the normal things that the good old boys do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday rolls around and he just wasn't. Daryl, Murray's dad, was like, I'm not feeling so hot. I think I'm gonna sit this out, which isn't normal for him. I mean, like, I think after 2 days of snowmobiling, I'd be like, nah, dog, I'm sitting the third day out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's hard on your body. And like, so he was just like, I'm not feeling so good. I kind of feel like I have heartburn, which again is not normal for him, or is normal for him because he has laid hardwood floors his entire life. And he would just always get heartburn because of like being in that bent over position
right
all the time. Like it just like even Murray gets heartburn because
that indigestion. Yeah.
So and his son was with him, and the friend obviously, and his son recalled that he like kept on like rubbing his face, and like again didn't really think anything of it. So the friend and the two kids, who are not kids, they're our age,
right, they're adult kids,
and then they came back to the cabin, and there was like a coroner there and a sheriff, and they were
my god,
that's how they came back to it. And they were just like, the thoughts that run in your head immediately when seeing something like that. You're like, oh, the dogs must have got out, or like, just like, you don't think like, oh, hey, they're there because my dad died. So anyways, they come back from snowmobiling to that scene to find out that that's why they're there. And apparently, so like Daryl, the dad who passed, he was the cabin was cleaned. He moved his snowmobile over to the flatbed trailer or whatever to load it up. Yeah, he needed other people's help, so he was probably waiting for them. And just like going back and forth to his truck, like loading things up, cleaning up the cabin. And the neighbors saw him go down and fall to the ground and then try to get back up, and he couldn't. And by the time he got over to him, he tried to do CPR, but his face had turned white.
Oh my god.
And he was gone. And he had like a cut across his eyebrow and his nose, so he must have like fell, hit his head, and just died. And it fucking sucks because he just was such a huge part of our lives, like just intertwined in so many people's lives, and he had so much life left in him. And like he was shocked that he made it past 60 because his dad died at like 62, so he just like kind of had it in his head that he wasn't going to live long, based on like his dad. And come to find out, that's how his cookie crumbled. And yeah, so that really fucked us up the week before Christmas, and it still is. Like,
Oh
we're still
yeah.
dealing with it. And I just think that, like, especially for his son Evan and Murray. So Murray is his stepson. So his wife had a kid before they got married, who is Murray, my partner, and Daryl was Murray's dad until he was 2, and like just such a pivotal person in his life. And
you mean like from the time he was 2?
Yeah, from the time
yeah.
on. And so that's his dad, you know,
Yeah.
he raised him. He is Quincy's grandpa, you know, like just this huge person in your life that you think's gonna, and then they just one day aren't. And it's just such a fucking trip. And that's why you have to call the people when you think of them.
Yeah. And like when I said that too, about the friends, is like oddly like not even thinking about like knowing that this has happened for you guys, that wasn't even in mind, but it makes it like hammer it home even more. It was more of just like, you just don't know when
Call
someone's in
your
a bad
dad,
place. Yeah,
call
totally.
your mom, call
Yeah.
your whoever.
And anybody, like you said, it's and we say this whenever things like this happen, and life does happen and kind of get in the way, and all of a sudden it's been a week, you're like, oh crap, like when was the last time I talked to so and so? And so you always have the good intentions, but it's like when you do think about it, like try to act on it, even if it's just that text, and you have to explain and preface and say, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm driving right now, or like heading into work, but I just thought of you and I just wanted to say like, hi, I love you. If you feel like you avoid it like I do, because I don't want to get in a back and forth conversation and like end up ignoring the person all day because I checked a text and then got busy with work and forgot to get back to them. It's like, send that little preface, and it doesn't have to be that, and it just will make that person like just feel good, even if it's someone you talk to every day, but you're like, oh, I forgot to tell you I love you today or something.
And I feel like for people who are within your immediate circle, your parents, your siblings, your partner, they are fucking annoying. They annoy the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Like they're annoying. We are annoying people. We get annoyed, but like you just kind of have to check yourself sometimes and be like, hey, yes, they're annoying and they have these things, but this is these are
exactly.
And it's easier said than done, 100%, but like shit, man.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, with Quincy now, the little one, I mean, you've gone through it, you've had a lot of loss in your life, and you lost your mom at a young age. And I had this, it's like I hate when people say this, and I felt this, like, even though this is no comparison, but like with the dog and just the way it happened suddenly, of like, you people want to say like, at least it was sudden and not, you didn't like you went through it with your mom of seeing her go like just
and
dwindle
also, like,
away,
processing it. And like, and I've been thinking about that. So like my mom passed away of breast cancer. She battled it for 4 years, and like it was a dragged out process. Yes. But and like maybe because I'm older and I have a kid, but I just feel like this one hits so hard. And even losing a dog, it is a comparison because it's a loss of your family. Like, and like I know dogs don't live as long as people, but still there's such like a presence in your life that it just like when it's gone, you're just like knocked off of your keister. It's just like such a trip. And like I don't know which is better, which is worse.
Right. That's it.
Even like experiencing all these different kinds of losses, I'm just like, I don't know if it's because of like being in a pandemic or like what, but it just like this one really hit hard. And also being an adult and having to try to keep it together for Quincy. Oh my God, I have just been, and I don't know if it's because I'm used to him being in school now or what. And now that he's on winter break, I'm like, you're making me want to rip my hair out.
Right.
And like just trying to like be present for him and patient for him. And it's just bizarre how he, like the day we found out, he cried and was like, my grandpa. But like he hasn't cried since, and he's just been like going along as normal. And like I've had days where I'm like, I can't even fucking get out of bed today, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just and it's just wild how each person deals with the grief differently. Like for Murray, for example, he's been burying himself in our bathroom project, and we have all of our plumbing in place, which is awesome. Like that's a huge progress. And he like I don't know if he would have had the time off if his father had or hadn't died, but yeah, it's just like and like his poor mother.
Yeah.
And his brother who was like there and like now living with like the survivor's guilt of being like, if I would have done this, or if he would have, like, it's just, and it's like, this is going to be like a lifetime of like,
it's never going to go away.
It's never going to go away. And like, I'm not married into this family, but I have been with Murray for the past 10 years. I've been going to Christmases for the past however many years, and like
you have a kid into that family, like you're in it.
He was grandpa, and like he was also like our childcare provider. Like one of the main reasons why I would have gone back to work would have been because Daryl was watching Quincy, and like it was someone that I trusted and someone that loved Quincy, and you know, like now that's gone, and I'm like, what the fuck are we going to do?
And it was someone like, you know, you love, you trust. Quincy knows and loves and trusts. So it's a whole another thing of like, now it's going to make things harder in many ways. And it's so hard when it comes to loss of like not going. I always feel so weird about like what you say without sounding like superficial or uncaring of like, like our childcare provider, and it's like, but he's so much more than that, and like you know that, and everybody knows that, but it's just like the spider web of things that you're just like, this isn't just like this person we love and know is gone. It's like our lives are like a little unraveled because they were so intertwined with him, with like Murray working for him. And it's like now what, who, like, and maybe some of that stuff was already in place. I don't know if like someone else takes the bids or does this or that. Someone has to completely step up and run the whole business
while grieving.
And like, what about, you know, mom, and how is she doing now? She's alone, and
the multiple houses, property. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing with their retirement, but I think that the reason why they had so many houses was to like have that be part of their assets. You know what I mean? And like, it's just such a trip. It is just such a trip. And Murray's going through this thing where he's like, I'm looking at myself through the grave now. And he always has done that and has always been really good at like looking into the future and like seeing how your actions today like go into, and which I don't. Like most people fucking don't think that way. And so it's just like the way our different brains, all these different brains deal with it, and all these different relationships. Like I've been texting his best friend being like, how are you?
Right.
He's not okay. And like just all these things that he did, like they would go on fish camps together, and like he was just such a lively human being, and just for it to be gone like that, it's just so. And like he was the person who everyone in this family went to bitch about the other person.
He was the person who everyone laid it all out on, and
seriously, because he would just tell you how
the pillar.
Yes, and that's what I keep on saying, like a true pillar. And like when one of your pillars of your community is gone, you're just like, holy shit. And then
you literally have to rebuild. Like if you think about it as an actual pillar, and that breaks, like you know, if there's a bunch of other support, like it's still in there, but you still have to fix that one and rebuild from the bottom up.
Exactly.
So like that's exactly how it is. Like the boys or whoever, you know, have to pick up the slack in the properties and the business, and
then you
start
just have to
becoming that.
reconfigure like your personal place within your unit, your community, your family, and just try to like fit in where that person held so much up.
Yeah. And it
Especially
just
the parents.
changes too, because you know, now that the rebuilding that, it's just going to be different. Is it like a multiple pillars now, or is it just the one? It's still going to be a different one. I can't imagine, like, the sudden, like you said, you've gone through a lot of it and you can't ever decipher like which is worse, and it's like, again, a weird thing to say. It's like you can't say like this one was worse or tougher, like or you can in certain ways, obviously, but I think, I don't know, and for me, when things just happen suddenly, like I said, it's just like that big old punch in the gut out of nowhere, like knocks the wind out of you. You're like, oh fuck, this wasn't even on my radar. I hadn't even thought about like really what would happen, or as opposed to if you know, kind of see it coming, you might have a little bit in place. It doesn't make the grief any less, but your mind maybe has gone there before, as opposed to like these moments when you're like, my mind never went in that direction, like I don't know what to do. You're just like really taking
or like it does a little bit,
we're all morbid.
You don't let it go there. So you don't do the things like, I'm sure he had a will and all this other stuff, but like I have a girlfriend who is a death doula, and it's basically just like someone who helps you put things in order once you're gone. So, and she's been really big in like the LGBTQ plus community, because there's been people who have transitioned and then they've died, but their parents are like, this is my daughter and was born a female, so we're going to put her in what we saw her as. And like that's not how, like if you know what I mean, like if you transitioned and you're like, I am not that person that I was born as, like you don't want to be represented like that after you're gone. So this has like totally made me want to go see her even more, especially now that I have a kid, because like if I were to die tomorrow right now, I mean, and I talked to Daryl about this. I was like, hey, if I go, like, where would Quincy go? And Daryl was like, duh, he would go to me or Janet. And I'm like, well, now you're gone. Cool. And like, Quincy's rambunctious and crazy and all over the place. And I was worried about him going over to the house with just grandma there anyways, because she caters to him and does whatever the fork he wants. And then the next day she's just like wiped because he just requires so much. So I'm just like, man, put your places in order, like put your things in order as far as like what's going to happen when you die. Get that Roth IRA going, like do the things, call the people, tell them that you love them. And also for someone who is currently going through grief and like you want to know how to help, like even I, for Murray's mom, have been like, what can I do? Or like even saying the things where it's like, I'm so sorry, which when I had my stillborn and people would say that to me, I'm like, why the fuck are people saying that? It's not their fault. And like, but now I can't help but say that, you know, like, because you're just like,
because you're sorry. Like you're empathetic. You are like, it wasn't your fault. But I think that like, it's one thing when you just say, I'm sorry all the time, like for doing things like, I don't know, some people at work, and I feel like women all the time, they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, they did something wrong. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's fine. You didn't know how to do it. Like no one got hurt in the process. Like quit apologizing all the time. But like in these situations, I feel like that I'm sorry comes from the empathy of like, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. That's how I feel. Like I am so sorry that I cannot take any of this weight or pain from you, and there's nothing I can do to make you feel better. And like, you know, I'm sure people like that's all they hear, so they maybe get tired of like hearing that when they're in the situation. But it's not like a fault sorry. It's a like, I feel so awful that I cannot do anything to take this away from you.
And like I wish we had greater words than like love and like sorry, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure we do. Like you just gotta like dig for it and find it. and also for things to do while someone is grieving or whatever. And I mean, everybody's different and every situation is different. So tread lightly with this information, but like bring food. Cause there's been so many days where I'm like, I can't make food for my family right now. Or like, just show up, you know, like literally just show up. And I mean, again, people will handle this differently, but like, just be there. And like, instead of asking, what can I do? Like suggest things.
Exactly.
And then see how the person takes it. Because it's just like, when you lose someone sudden like that, when you lose fucking anyone, when you lose a pet, when you lose anything sudden, expected, elongated, whatever, just your mind is in such a weird place that you don't know what you need, but just go back to the basics. Water, food, shelter.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. 100%. Like I said, everyone takes it differently. So you have to kind of know what that person, or try to have an idea. Maybe you can always ask other people around them who are closer too, who have a better insight of some people are like, I have 18 casseroles, like don't bring me another one or whatever, but some are busy.
Or like, or just be like, hey, can I come over and do your dishes? Like,
totally.
And try not to take it in.
Can I take Quincy to the park? Like,
yes, please. And I've told my friends that, and even then, like, I still have a hard time being like, please take him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, or like I don't know. It's just so bizarre how like our society, we have a hard time asking for help, but like we can't fucking do it all, especially with like the demands that today's world puts on us. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be, especially through COVID, like we're supposed to be the teacher, we're supposed to be the parent, we're supposed to be the friend, we're supposed to be the you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we can't do it all. Like, each person is a different person who has individual strengths, and you just fucking can't.
Have a hard time asking for help and accepting help. But I do think, like, as what we've talked about in the last few, is we're getting to points of our life, and I think it's getting a little bit more normalized too, of that, like, we're previously it's like it wasn't until you're rock bottom or like older, like, you know, it'd be like people are like our parents going to therapy or something, and it's like, you know what, like, why wait? If I feel like I need to talk to somebody now, like, why wait? I don't have to be in this like rock bottom end all situation to feel like I need an unbiased like third party opinion or someone to talk to about things. And I think I'm getting better at like asking for help, because it's just like, why run yourself to the ground and like let yourself, like, if help is there, you can find it. It's just like, you have to just like take it and accept it. It doesn't make you a weak person. And you don't have to broadcast it, like, if you don't want to, if you feel like it does make you weak or something. But I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I'll ask all the questions. And it's more about like the, you know, some of these things that when you need help from a professional, like financially, like, can you do it? And a lot of people are in that situation that they can't, but it becoming more available or figuring out ways. So I think, like, you even telling me that, it's like, oh wow, look, there is a easy way, like, for us to access, like, go online and you can find stuff. Takes a little digging sometimes, or just a little, I don't know, it's out there. But I do have to wrap up and get to ready for work, try and brush my teeth after I finish spitting in this tube, but that's what I've been doing. Hopefully you don't hear it. Maybe we can do this really quick. I don't really like New Year's resolutions or anything like that. But just my 2022 goals really are just like, as we won't have another one till after, I just want to continue on this like a couple week path I've been on, of like getting a little more financially stable and asking for more help to like get there, and just try to keep my head on straight. Really, I'm not doing like I ever do, like, lose 20 pounds or whatever. It'd be nice, it'd be really great. But what I'm doing is to like trying to actually figure my health out. And if it gets me to that, then cool. But
and if it lasts past 2022, then fork,
totally. Do you have anything?
Oh my God. So I might try to do dry January.
Yeah, see what your
Yeah,
therapist comes
therapist.
back with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. She just like that really like I was like, oh fuck. So maybe we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Um in early December, Sally and I were consistently going to the gym. So yes, that too, like being physical.
Mm-hmm.
And then just trying to have a better regimen and like waking up with intentions
Mm-hmm.
and like being more mindful. And like as far as like career, I guess, like because it's I mean goals, there's like we're
Go.
multitasking human.
Yep.
I really really want to learn how to be more tech savvy.
I can't say it either.
Yeah,
Technically,
I wanna
yeah.
like learn how to like store my photos better. So I got
Yeah.
like a big external hard drive for Christmas, and I put all my photos on most of my photos on that. I need to figure out how to get things from my iCloud to my external
Oh,
hard drive. So if you have any tips, tricks, points,
yeah.
whatever. So yeah, just becoming more tech savvy, video editing, photo editing, and capturing more moments since
Yes.
we have the technology.
Well, we will definitely do this again. Hopefully we can in the next week or early January. And we can always goals don't have to be set by December 31st. There's
Yeah,
no date.
word.
They can set them throughout the year.
Yeah,
But
we
we
could do
could,
them quarterly.
yeah,
Fuck
totally. Yep.
weekly,
Because
baby.
short-term goals are a little bit better because they get you to
Yeah,
those long-term. So,
yeah, yeah.
all right. Well, I got to jet to work. Andrew's to drop me off. I gotta
What a
change.
good boy.
Yeah.
Well, good chatting with you, and thank
You
you for letting
too.
me talk about the life.
I wish we could go more.
I know, I know.
Um,
We'll just have to do this again next week.
yes, we'll get on that weekly regimen for sure.
Fingers
It's
crossed.
coming. It's coming. Okay, I love you so much.
I love you too. Have a good day at work.
Okay, you too. Bye.